So yeah, there we go. We live.
Ah,
Hopefully,
brilliant.
hopefully it's coming through all right your side now. Um, but yeah, just a catch up really. Talk about what's happening. Uh, that's been happening throughout the week really. Well, obviously it's all lockdown based and um, yeah, I think it's going
Mm.
to be like that for quite a while with regards to the news and that. Yeah, obviously we kicked off the week with, or finally sort of addressed the nation. Um, but yeah, it was quite a watered down speech he gave. Nothing really great came from it.
No,
I don't know if did you watch it? Did you care to watch it?
no, no. I think I might have been a bit drunk.
That's probably the best way to do things.
Yeah, yeah. The thing with him is that you know exactly what he's going to say. I was just a little bit disappointed because I did think that he was going to downgrade us to stage three, and I got that quite wrong. But other than that, it's all pretty much the same thing. So yes, how it works. Uh, we're either on stage four or we're currently uh, in no lockdown whatsoever. You decide.
Yeah, well, I think it's the more rural you go, the less like the more likely it is that it doesn't exist. The
Yeah,
lockdown, and
yeah.
it's probably the best way to do it. Is probably just to not care and just carry on with life. I was watching or listening a bit to Joe Rogan's recent podcast he did with Dr. I think Rhonda Smith or something like that. Um, and he was speaking about like the few studies that they've done about vitamin D and the coronavirus and that, and uh, the correlation between the two, saying that people who have vitamin D deficiencies and that, um, yeah, are more likely to have severe cases of the coronavirus. And if you have normal vitamin D to excess vitamin D, yeah, you really well off. So I think there was something like 98% of people that had deficiencies in vitamin D got like severe cases in that, whereas only 4% with excess vitamin D got severe cases. Um,
Yeah, I did read about that actually. I didn't see Joe Rogan's thing, but I did read about that.
so, yeah, in that sense, if science is showing you this kind of stuff, like one of the things I think is to encourage people to go out more and get in the sun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't require a scientific study though to know that going outside is good for you.
Yeah, and it's well in the UK and that from I think it was Wednesday, uh, we were advised to yeah previously we were advised to only go out once a day for exercise, and yeah, but you could exercise any time of the day you wanted. And from Wednesday, you're allowed to exercise as many times as you want, and it's kind of encouraged actually to get out and yeah, go to the parks and whatnot, um, which I think is probably a good approach. Um, but
It's a brilliant approach.
yeah, it just baffles me to think why South Africa is doing something so different. Like why only 3 hours in the morning and that's it.
The answer is because the government has absolutely no idea what it's doing. It's kind of making it up as it goes along.
Yeah. Uh, I think I heard Dear SA is going to be fighting that though, thankfully.
Yes, yeah,
So yeah, and
yeah.
I saw your stream with them the other day, and thankfully, yeah, there is people like them
Mm.
fighting for civil society. Really, yeah, that was quite big that they got the e-commerce turned around.
As I said in my stream with them, and it's funny that we're celebrating that as a victory, that we're allowed to buy stuff online. But this is where we are. It's a small victory, yet a big victory. It's all messed up. The whole thing is wrong. We shouldn't even be having these discussions.
Hmm. Yeah, and I
I
see.
mean, the fact that we've been having conversations this week about what kind of shoes we're allowed to buy.
Yeah, that one really got me. That yeah, it's depending. Yeah, that this coronavirus has some impact on the clothing you can or can't wear is just out of this world. It's yeah, you just wonder who's advising them to make decisions like this.
Uh, I think their dog,
Yeah,
or maybe their cat, because cats get coronaviruses. Well, dogs too, but it's not nearly as prevalent.
is this what your wife has told you?
Yes,
And if anyone doesn't know, your wife is a vet, eh?
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Just in case anybody doesn't know, she's a vet, so she knows about cats and dogs. And
Um,
funnily enough, also quite a lot about humans in some respects, because the principle of biology tends to overlap.
yes, that is true from my little bit of biology that I did in university.
I mean,
Um,
it's not like a virus works differently in a human to how a virus works in a dog.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, and I also well there was that Shark Rock incident that was this week as well with the poor little kid that was yeah kind of
Yeah,
torn away, which was quite scary to see. It's like yeah
it's nuts. I mean, and then they got let off the hook.
yeah scot free. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I think in any normal society that would have ended up, well, that wouldn't have ended up happening. But in our society, it's happening now because we're tending towards some sort of authoritarian socialist um, regime,
Mm, yeah,
and it's profoundly concerning.
yeah, it does seem like that. Like to me, it seems like they kind of just testing the water with all these regulations and that, like how far they can go, how far they can push people with these more yeah this authoritarian rule and yeah how much
Well,
freedom can you take away from someone?
well, yeah, that's how it works. So, history is a very good guide in this instance. So, people do not like to be caged up. All right. So, we had the French Revolution. I beg your pardon, not the French Revolution, the storming of the Bastille,
Hmm.
where you had the people rising up against the elite. Now, precisely the same thing happens in every other um, part of the world. When people become oppressed, they handle it for only so long before they start retaliating. So um, we're already seeing it that people are simply ignoring the lockdown, which is fantastic to see. But in other cases, we're seeing lots of protest action because people are physically taking on the long arm of the state, and in this particular instance, being police and soldiers.
Yeah, and well, I think that's one of the good things to kind of that's happened over this past week is that we've
Mm.
seen more of that the civil society kind of taking it up and taking some action, whether it be legal or
Yeah.
illegal
Well, I
means.
mean, legal, illegal, that discussion really doesn't matter anymore because,
True.
I mean, yeah, people are going, yeah, it's illegal to walk on the beach. All right, so I mean, really, so talking about legality at this point in time is petty. I think what matters more now is about it being just, and the laws are completely unjust. I mean, a virus doesn't, stop at the shoreline. It sees someone on the beach and like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know,
Yeah,
guys, back up, guys, back up.
yeah.
It doesn't work like that. And so the stuff is just a power play, as per the name of your stream.
um, and yeah, did you listen to John Steenhuisen's rebuttal kind of thing that the DA? Should I get you started on that?
No, I feel for him. I think what he should have just done. You're talking about that SABC interview where
No,
the woman was asking him precisely which people does he speak to, and she wants a list of names.
oh no, I was speaking to the one that he spoke about with them challenging the regulations that are in the court. Uh,
Oh no.
but you're welcome to go on about that as well.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw that, but he was interviewed, and this this woman wanted to know exactly who he's speaking on behalf of when he says that the people are not happy about the lockdown. I mean, and then he says, and then she wants a list, and he says, "Do you want me to name them?" And she says, "Yes."
Every single person that, yeah. I think that's just shows the journalism, or the main.
It's dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's dead.
You,
It's mainstream journalism is your enemy.
yeah, even if you looked at, there was also that SABC interview they did with out in that predominantly white squatter camp.
With the food.
Yes, that was also this
Yeah.
week, and I couldn't believe how that journal, or that interviewer was asking, putting those questions to this poor guy,
Yeah.
and like blaming him and making him out to be like this evil dude.
I don't know. It's this weird culture war that's kind of evolving now. That you've got these statist media hacks suddenly feeling the need to defend or protect the president, or defend the lockdown. Why on earth would any sane person want to defend the lockdown?
Yeah.
This isn't about saving lives, mate. I mean, I was at Woolies earlier today, and I got a sign up saying, "In the interest of saving lives." Like, really? Really? You know, this whole thing about saving lives, Darren, is absolute nonsense, okay? And let me tell you why. If any of these authorities were interested in saving lives, then over Easter they would implement a lockdown, banning people from leaving their homes. Guess what? Road accidents, which are notoriously high over Easter, will suddenly drop because of a lockdown, right? There you go. Now you're saving lives. In actual fact, let's take it to the extreme. Ban the use of all vehicles, then road accidents will severely drop and make people walk everywhere. You know, there you go. Now you're saving lives. If you want to save more lives, I don't know, just have a permanent lockdown to every winter, so that TB, pneumonia, flu deaths drop significantly. You know, this whole thing about saving lives is such a farce.
Yeah, I feel like that's also been proven. It was something you shared actually, I think, this week, with a comparison between Sweden
Yes,
and
and the UK.
yeah, and we've been in quite a severe lockdown. It's lots of shops closing. There's predicted contraction of about 14% to the economy this year. So this lockdown's, yeah, been quite severe in that sense. But we're pretty much the same off as Sweden, and they've had like a very relaxed kind of restrictions.
But that's because people, Darren, you know, I'm a guy who draws pictures for a living. How is it that I can see the reality? I'm a varsity dropout who draws pictures for a living, and yet here I am, reading, at least struggling to read at least, but I'm trying to read the science papers. I'm not reading News 24. I'm not reading what the politicians are saying. I'm not reading what the journalists are saying. I don't care what they're saying. I'm interested in what scientists and experts are saying, and analysts and computer, I don't know, guys who can make great graphs, and mathematicians. You know, these people matter more than journalists or politicians. Politicians are just playing a power game. So I'm not at all interested in what the president says. I mean, I'm interested in what he says to the extent that it affects what I can do during the day. But when he talks about like the lockdown has worked, which he's literally said, then I switch off, because he says, yeah, case numbers, infections have dropped, and he shows a graph. Well, I showed that same graph a day before he did his speech, and the reason for the graph, the reason for the case numbers dropping is because testing has deteriorated. It's got nothing to do with the lockdown working.
And
It's such a farce.
yeah, and even if you look, like they say, the Western Cape is so much worse off than everyone else in the country, and that because the Western Cape has done the most testing, in places like
Yeah.
Or I would imagine Northwest, Eastern Cape, and they have basically had no testing. So,
But in any event, who cares what the testing rate is? I'm of the opinion, I've changed my view in the last 2 months. In the beginning, I was in favor of mass testing. I'm now against it. I think it's a waste of resources. I don't think PCR testing it's only effective if you want to somehow create, I don't know, a snapshot in time of a particular day. I mean, if I test negative today and I test positive tomorrow, then the data's all changed. But then you need to go and test me again. And it's unlikely that you're going to test me twice in 2 days.
yeah.
Although knowing how incompetent our people are, I'm guessing that I'll get tested 5 times in 3 days. But and that includes testing a pawpaw. I mean, mass testing is incredibly expensive. It doesn't mean anything. People go, 100 new infections. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
Infection rate doesn't matter. In fact, it's good that there's a high infection rate. The more people who are infected, the better chance we have of getting herd immunity. And in order to get herd immunity, you need somewhere between, I think it's between 85 and 90% of people infected. So if you want herd immunity, you need a huge amount of infection.
But do you think that would be? I know the herd immunity was initially what the UK was going for. They kind of changed their stance a little bit on that.
No, because Boris Johnson got he got conned.
Yeah, I do enjoy Boris Johnson. I like him as a prime minister.
Yeah, but I mean his backbone is a little bit bendy. He should have stuck to his guns initially. He had the right idea in the beginning, and then he got scared because of Imperial College. And Imperial College, I mean, Neil Ferguson should be sentenced. That guy is a con artist who has fooled millions of people. And okay, look, governments didn't have to listen to him, but they did. And his data was complete garbage. I mean, he has a history of getting everything wrong. He's like a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, I also think that there was a bit of politicking there as well. It's like,
yeah,
how hard can he go, kind of thing. I know he's got, you've got to. There's got to be a bit of a middle ground. You can't go all guns blazing and lose half your constituency, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, what are you going to destroy the economy? Because
well, that's kind of happened. So yeah, it's not the greatest position, and like they released the stages for us here in the UK going forward as well. So something similar to South Africa. I think our stages, they want to kind of get to stage 1 in the UK by October area. But there's still quite a lot of criteria that needs to be met. But yeah, it's to me, it's not quick enough. Like, I think a lot of governments and that went into these lockdowns without thinking too much about how you come out of a lockdown.
What you think? No.
But I think now that they're in this panic state and not really, or they're trying to be put in too many regulations, worry too much about it. I would much rather they just say, okay, it's fine, do what you normally do, kind of thing, and us as civil society will figure it out.
Yeah, okay, so my view from the start, I mean, I think most people who know me by now will know that I've been consistent, right? I haven't flip-flopped. I have maintained this position from even before we went into lockdown. And I think you went into lockdown 3 days before us, if I remember, or after us. I forget which way it was. Anyway,
yeah.
But my position from the start has been that the lockdown is a political move. It's got nothing to do with social distancing. It's essentially the government criminalizing citizens for leaving their home, for all intents and purposes, right? Now, my position is a very simple one. Treat it like the flu or treat it like any other infectious disease. Let people decide for themselves. So in other words, instead of trying to centrally plan how 60 million people are going to live their lives, break it down. Allow the Western Cape, for example, and the Eastern Cape and KZN to determine how they see best for their province, and then break that down even further. Go right down into the suburbs. Allow communities to decide for themselves what's best. I live in a complex, all right. We could decide what's best for our complex. We go, okay, fine. We've got a few old toppies living in our complex. For their sake, we'll have a rule that nobody may park near their house, or I don't know. We need to protect those old people if they're happy with it. The rest of us can carry on working. It's fairly well established that being outside has got a very minimal chance of spreading the disease. You also are in a healthier position by being outside. Okay, shops can decide for themselves if they want people to disinfect and wear masks. It shouldn't have to be a centralized law. Very simple. Companies. Let's say you got a company of 50 staff. You go, okay, guys, we are going to work from home for the next 2 weeks. Fine. You might have a company that says, well, we're not going to work from home for the next 2 weeks, but we will recommend social distancing. We need to move our cubicles further apart, or the desks further. That kind of thing. I cannot understand how that cannot be identified. Yes. So yes, the immediate response. Well, because people won't do it. All right, then they don't do it. So what?
Yeah. It's yeah.
So what? If I don't want if I'm worried that people are not behaving correctly, then I'll say to my folks, okay, listen, mom, dad, stay at home, and we'll go to the shops for you.
Yeah. It's what you're saying now makes so much sense, and it's I think what we align, we both think down, where you do just give the freedom for decision making that to each person and each little community in there,
and community, and keep it local.
Yeah, localism.
That's far more effective. It's far more effective. In actual fact, the evidence speaks for itself. South Africa has had this lockdown, but millions of people have simply ignored it. So there you go. People are already doing it for themselves. Those who want to wear masks are doing it. Those who want to, avoid crowds are avoiding crowds. And those who don't care, like me, are doing their own thing. Yes, I'm only wearing a mask because I can't buy food. And I'm a snob. I'm a snob, and I like to buy Woolies food, or I go to the spa, right? But I mean, I don't want to drive very far, so the shops that are near me are quite limited. So I'll wear a mask so I can go in, but I take it off immediately when I come out. And the reason is not because I'm trying to go, well, I want to spread the virus. Of course not. I don't believe any of that mass hysteria. Remember, my wife is a doctor, and she also has an idea of how these things work. Not just that, but she listens to medical podcasts. I read medical stuff. It goes far beyond my pay grade. So I ask her, can you explain this to me? And that's just in my immediate environment. If I really want to get technical, on my own show, I have conversations with medical experts from around the world. And they all say the same thing. They all say that masks are not really necessary for most purposes. But try and have that conversation with someone who only listens to Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yeah, but then we think down this line, we kind of know that this virus isn't as bad as everyone's making out to be. Government is still heavily believing that this is the worst thing since ever. What can a person do? Like if you are restricted by government, because in South Africa definitely your freedoms are being restricted by government, and the only way I can see to go against this is one, legally, like advocate Leopard Pants.
Well, that's what we've been doing. We've been doing all of this.
But the other option is to have like a mass civil disobedience kind of thing.
Yes, and I support that as well.
Yeah, but it's how do you get?
So just carry on. So chat to people on WhatsApp. Chat to those who are not going to snitch. And by the way, kill your friendships with people who snitch. Seriously. I mean, we're living. we're living in this weird time now where people think that they need to protect the state. It blows my mind. I just cannot understand this. The state doesn't care about you. It cares about itself. Okay. And the people you should trust actually are the people close to you. And if those people are going to stab you in the back, they shouldn't be in your life at all. And we need to, the one thing that I think, or at least I'm hoping for, that's going to come out of this whole lockdown story is that people are going to become a lot more principled. If there's one thing that has helped me in my career in the last 4 years, definitely in the last 3 to 4 years, has been taking principled position on things. Being airy-fairy only gets you so far, but principles get you everywhere. As long as you're true to yourself, then your principles will stand. And I don't want to be friends with someone who's going to stab me in the back. I really don't. And I'm not going to stab somebody in the back. I might be right wing and I might be this and a racist and a sexist and everything else that's been labeled. But the one thing I am is consistent. At least I try to be, and I try to be principled in the stuff that I do. Okay, so let me give you an example. So the lockdown has meant that a lot of us are upset and we need to resist somehow, right? We need to push back. How do we do that? And some people on the left on social media believe that the only form of protest is to run around in the streets. Well, that's not true. Yes, you can do that if you want. I'm not that kind of person. I'm also not fit enough to run around in the streets. However, I can tell you right now, Darren, without patting myself on the back, and I'm hoping that you will see what I'm saying here, but stuff like what you and I are doing right here, like chatting over the internet where other people can listen, hear our ideas, and maybe reevaluate their own ideas, I think is a very powerful form of protest. I know that my videos, for example, and my cartoons also have reached tens of thousands of people, maybe more. And I've received so many emails, so many messages from all over the world, and literally from all over the world, from people saying, thank you for saying what I've been thinking. I now have the confidence to share that message with those that I know, knowing that there are people like you who are opposed to this. At least I'm not alone. It creates a sense of camaraderie, number one. So that's a very important aspect. Doing what you're doing right now is critical. And taking a position, and actually saying, I don't agree with that, or I do agree with this, I think is a very good place to be. A second thing you can do is by using the courts. What do you think Aaron and co have been doing? And I've been trying to help them in my little way to publicize it, and it's worked. And now many people are starting to resist. And then another thing is literally saying to people, guys, don't be ashamed of the market. The only reason why the term black market is used is when the government has a say over what can be sold and what can't be sold. A month ago or 2 months ago, buying alcohol was legal. Now it's illegal. So suddenly buying alcohol falls under black market. It's ridiculous. Go and buy alcohol if you want it. Find someone. There are lots of people who have connections, and go and buy alcohol. Stuff the government. Take a stand.
Yeah,
they can't arrest everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm quite thankful for people such as yourself and Roman and that who are, if we want to use the terms right wing and that, more on the right side of things, and are very open.
Well, I am right wing. It's okay. You can say it.
Yeah, I don't generally like saying right and left wing and that. I prefer to speak in more like. Yeah,
but I mean, I've got a different explanation of left and right wing anyway. I suspect it would be a very interesting conversation, because I don't see it in that 4 quadrant thing that you're probably thinking about, that everybody always refers to.
We can speak about it now if you want.
Sure. Well, okay.
Because that's what I visualize. I visualize the 4 quadrants. That's my kind of baseline.
Right. Oh, I see in the comments, Ice is there. Hey, Ice, nice to see you, man. He follows all of us around. It's great. It's great to have Ice's support.
Yeah.
I'd love to actually meet Ice one day. I hope he's a good guy.
We can't really.
This Ice character is very, very encouraging for Ronaldo and Ramon and I and you, because he I don't know, he's always in the comment section, and I love it. So Ice, if you're watching, thank you, mate. I appreciate your ongoing support.
Yeah. Agreed.
So that 4-quadrant story that everybody refers to, I think is fine. For most conversations around the braai, it's what you'll use. But I mean, let me give an example. Ronaldo said to me about 2 weeks ago what he perceived left wing and right wing to be, and it was, in my view, appalling. And I said to him, we need to have a conversation about this, because that's not what right wing and left wing mean. People think that right wing means somehow like you're this like white nationalist who's a racist who thinks black people are inferior and or wants women in the kitchen. Yeah. That's not entirely true. I also want women in the kitchen, but I'm not into those other things. Yeah. I say that, but I love cooking, and I have 3 aprons.
I have 0 aprons, and I like cooking. So.
Oh, dude, no! Listen, cooking is great. It's great.
I love it.
It's very relaxing. Yeah, no, it's lekker.
I see Ice found some bottles.
Well, Ice, if you're in Cape Town, if you're in Cape Town, let's talk, and so I can grab one of those bottles from you.
Sorry.
I have contacts for Jack Daniels, thankfully, so I'm trying to get my hands on that. I just have to find the roads on which to drive where there aren't any roadblocks.
Oh.
So imagine, take that 4-quadrant matrix and throw it away.
Okay.
And take a triangle and turn it sideways so that it's got 1 point on your left-hand side and 2 points on the right-hand side, right? Can you visualize that?
Yeah.
Right. That's your starting point for left and right. Far left would be the point on the left-hand side, the single point. And the far right would be the 2 points of the base of the triangle that's on your right-hand side.
Yeah.
So initially this makes no sense. Okay, so what are you saying? So like, why does the left go down to a point?
The left goes to the right.
And the right goes to a point that's up and a point that's down. Well, the reason is quite simple, because on the far left, all things tend towards communism. All right, all things. So it's this sense of ultra equality and communistic thought, and there isn't much in the way of trying to split that into multiple categories. Yeah, you can, but for all intents and purposes, it sits on the left. However, being on the right can be a lot more complex, and that's why I said on my website months ago that being right-wing is a lot more intellectually complex than being left-wing. Left-wing, you'll find people will tend towards it because they think it's the best position to have. Oh, we need to care about all the people. Oh, there's a wage gap. We must close that. There's inequality. Women are inferior to men, and all of these things sound so lovely. We must make everybody equal and the same. Okay, and I disagree with that. It's also completely against evolutionary biology. So like the idea of the right becomes complicated. So if you go towards the upper point, in the sideways triangle, the upper point would be sort of ultra individualism, which is a diametric opposite to communism, because communism doesn't believe in the individual, right? So the sort of uber individualistic position is one part of being right wing. Now, in no way have we spoken about race or anything like that. Have you noticed?
Yeah, thankfully.
We're talking about collectivism versus individualism, essentially.
Yes.
However, at the bottom, the bottom point of the triangle, you've got absolutism. Okay. Which is certainly a right-wing thinking. So let's say, for example, some sort of monarch. Okay. Like, I don't know. Let's look at. It's difficult to think of real-world examples, but I suppose an absolutist example could be Apple under Steve Jobs. So you had this hierarchical structure that wasn't about the individual. They all had to conform to the way of Apple. It was part of Steve's vision for Apple. He wanted people to buy into the idea. If they didn't buy into the idea, get lost. Okay, go work somewhere else. It was this hierarchical structure with this sort of absolutist or this almost tyrannical fascist figure at the top, which was Steve Jobs. And he was known to have been ruthless.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, he's also produced an incredible product. And if he was that terrible, tens of thousands of people wouldn't be working for Apple. Okay, so that's like an absolutist model. And I'm using a company because I do think that democratic systems are garbage. I think that a democracy in itself is a failed system altogether. I think that excuse me, I've got a dry cough. I hope I don't infect you.
Thankfully, I'm a few thousand kilometers away, so that hopefully is far enough.
So I, for example, I'm not a pure absolutist. I'm also not a pure individualist. I sit somewhere between those two on the right-hand side of that sideways triangle. Let me try and expand a bit further. I'll take a bullet for my wife. That immediately puts me out of contention for being a firm individualist. I love my family. I won't leave my family in the lurch. I almost am a little bit of a socialist with my family. I'll happily share my stuff with them without wanting anything in return. You know what I mean? So,
yes, yeah.
That's not a pure individualist. I also am a little bit of an absolutist in the sense that I don't mind hierarchical structures, like Apple.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, my complex. We have rules.
Yeah,
and if you don't like the rules, don't live here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So my view on the world is based on that being right wing, and left wing being essentially communism. I also see that Darwinian sort of evolutionary theory fits into being right wing.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's the opposite of equality. Yes. Inequality is desirable. Inequality creates competition. It creates a desire to prosper. If all people earn the same, there would be no need to study, I don't know, to become an astrophysicist versus a cosmetic surgeon versus being, I don't know, a basketball player who earns $100 million a year or something.
Yeah.
If everybody earned the same, you'd find a lot more laziness. And that goes against our very nature. The entire animal world is based on inequality. It's about survival of the fittest. Yeah. And it is also, strangely enough, about community. Look at elephants. Look at how elephants protect one another, and how they will all gather around a baby elephant when there's danger.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's also a sense of hierarchical structures. We know that this happens across the animal world. This is all Darwinian. This isn't like whenever you say Darwinian, people go, oh, does this mean I'm an atheist or anything? No. I'm not speaking about your belief system. I'm speaking about straightforward evolution, and evolution happens in everything.
Yeah. From
language to viruses, to people, to animals, to technology. Technology evolves. Everything evolves, and everything evolves from the base level upwards. There's no real top-down structure to being right-wing. However, being left-wing requires a top-down structure. Yes. Because it's not by the people. It's by a centralized command council, essentially.
Yeah, you're being dictated
to. Yeah. So sorry, I'm rambling, but like I said, it's a fairly complex thing. I've got diagrams on my website. I do think it's a far more intellectually pleasing concept, and I do think also that people need to reclaim the term right-wing. If you're not happy with this, isn't my model. I didn't come up with this. It's come up by philosophical thinkers. But if for the purposes of a discussion around a braai, people talk about being left-wing and right-wing, I agree with you. I don't like those terms, and I often use it more in jest than anything else. But if you really want to use the terms, and I know that the media and people love using it, then fight them at their own battle. Use their own rules, but then reclaim the terminology. If people have tried to call me right-wing as some sort of derogatory term. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it as a compliment. In actual fact, if you call me left-wing, I'll be pretty insulted.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I feel the same. But yeah, I do like that in your explanation as well. That does sound like a better model to use, um,
Yes,
because
because it's also not based purely on economics,
yeah, yeah,
which is generally what that other model's based on. Generally,
yeah, it would be interesting to see. I know you can get like political compass tests and that online and that,
yes,
but
and they're all great. They're all
mm,
great for most purposes.
it gives you a vague yeah, a vague standing on
Yeah.
where you fit. But how
There's
that
also nothing wrong with being a nationalist. That's also got a that people whenever you say nationalist, people think of the AWB or Hitler.
mm,
Okay, but I mean, nationalism is also human nature.
yeah,
It's there's nothing scary about it. Yes, you can have people using it for bad, but you can also have people using many things for bad.
yeah,
We have a democracy right now, but our presidents use it for bad.
yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah. For me, if you took nationalism down, uh, if you watered it down into a smaller area geographically, you kind of get that localism.
well,
Um,
that's exactly right. And also, there's nothing wrong in in actual fact, it's normal behavior for people and animals also. Um, and I like to include animals because it adds a sense of perspective that we're all on the same planet. You know,
yeah,
we're not completely separate. I mean, considering that we've got like 98% overlapping DNA to chimpanzees.
mm,
Um, what was I saying now?
oh,
Um, oh, right. It's human nature to gravitate towards people who are similar to you, whether
mm,
it's by the way they look or by the way they think or some kind of phenotype.
mm,
Um, this is why you have essentially nation states. You go to Japan, 99% of the people look similar.
yeah,
It's not people. I know that people on the left get very funny when you talk like this. Look at basketball in the US. It's 98% black. And then people go, oh, but skin doesn't matter. No, it doesn't really matter, but there is some sort of gravitation of population groups around the world.
mm,
Israel is majority Jewish.
yeah,
Uh, go to China and 98% of the people are going to look like Chinese people will look. They're not going to look like Somalians.
yeah. I think yeah, that is a that key point there. That is, we it's in our human nature uh, to go or be with a group that
Yeah,
we are familiar with, that we are accustomed to,
yeah,
that we can see ourselves in, and it's comforting in that sense. So we're
yeah.
always trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Unati Kwaza was on my stream 2 weeks ago, and she said if she goes to I don't know, a function, she'll gravitate towards the black people wherever they are in the room.
mm,
It's not a racist thing.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know why people would think it's racist. It's just human nature acting itself out. If I'm on an overseas trip, okay, and I don't know, I'm on a tour bus, and there's a group of South Africans at the front of the bus.
mm,
Guess where I'm going to go and sit?
yeah.
I'm going to
Well,
go and sit. I'm going to go and sit with the South Africans because I'm not going to sit around someone from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and I don't know, Norway, and understand nothing that they're saying.
yeah. I've experienced that because of coming to the UK.
Yeah,
I've come to a new country, and one of the comforting things is to go onto Facebook and find a group
yeah,
that's South Africans in the UK, and now
yeah, and sorry, I'm interrupting you, but that
no,
gets broken down even further. In South Africa, you've got multiple nations.
mm,
You've got the Zulu Kingdom,
mm,
which is very proudly Zulu,
mm,
and I don't want to take that away. I love it. If I'm overseas and I chat about Shaka Zulu, I don't particularly like Shaka Zulu's history, but it's nevertheless part of South African history. And Zulus tend to be very proud of their nation. They're proud of their culture, their food, their dance, their attire, etc., etc. That is a nation within a country, and eventually people want to have their own states. Okay, so I mean that's what happened with Czechoslovakia. It broke up into multiple states because essentially there was national conflict.
Yeah, yeah,
Same as the USSR.
yeah. It's. I think the left has obviously demonized this.
Yeah,
If we're going
no,
back to that,
exactly.
and especially the likes of the big mainstream media and that. But it is just human nature in that, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
um,
human. I mean, animals. Just look at animals.
yeah,
Elephants congregate around elephants.
yeah. It happens throughout nature then, because yeah,
Yeah,
you don't see a buffalo and a cheetah walking in the
yeah, no,
Kalahari together all happy.
yes,
um,
and they'll bring out examples, but those are exceptions. They're not the rule.
yeah. But yeah, you can argue it back and forth.
Mm.
But yeah, it is an interesting conversation. And
And I would recommend, Darren. You're a bit of a reader, I think. Read The Evolution of Everything by Matt Ridley.
yes, I listened. You were recommending books on one of your streams,
Mm.
yeah, a week or two ago, and I did write that down. I'm busy
Yeah,
with.
it'll completely red pill you. It'll make you realize that the triangle illustration that I use now is perfectly correct, in the way that it summarizes society. You'll realize that the way the world works is from bottom up,
Hmm.
not from top down.
Yeah,
And that's why, for example, the lockdown is a failure, because it's a top-down approach. It should have been a bottom-up approach, where you allowed communities and local regions to decide for themselves what
yeah,
the best response would have been.
yeah. I think, and that's the problem that happens a lot across the globe in governments in that, and obviously now, especially in South Africa, is a lot of all these regulations and rules and laws and that are top down, and you kind of don't give the people any say or input,
Yeah,
and if they do, you ignore it. It's
and sorry, I've taken some stick for this, for saying this, that top-down doesn't always work, and then they go, yeah, but what about in your family? Oh, I'm talking about, generally speaking, society as a whole. It's the big picture outlook. Obviously, as I said earlier, I'm also in favor of hierarchical structures, like in a home.
mm,
You can't have kids determining the future of a home. It has to
yes,
be a top-down structure. Um, but collectively, all right, collectively, you have multiple families. They make up a community, and that community becomes almost like an organism, that decides for itself what's best for it.
yeah,
Same as my complex that I'm living in.
mm,
I'm we in this home cannot dictate what happens in this complex. It has to be agreed upon by our little community.
yeah.
And if we're frustrated by that, then we need to sell the house and go live in another complex.
Yeah, uh, but the thing is also to have that freedom to do that.
Correct.
Um, uh,
Yes.
yeah, it's one of the nice things about the UK, and that I've liked before I even got here, was that there is a bit more localism that we speak of here. There are more communities that may be a bit isolated out in the countryside that do just do what they want as a community,
Mm.
and a lot of the local councils here as well. The local councils manage the yeah, the politicking and all that kind of stuff. So it's a much smaller area. When I was in South Africa, I didn't really feel that. It felt like much higher up. You're looking more at your um, what is it? Wouldn't be your local government, or maybe it is your local government. Your provincial councils and that had more say, kind of thing. But over here, it definitely seems like communities have a bit more say, and are willing to go out a bit further, and put their neck on the line, kind of thing, for what they believe and what they want.
Mm.
So that's one nice thing about being here. But hopefully, yeah, getting all the way back full circle. Hopefully, the coronavirus and that
Mm.
has kind of shown people and kind of united some communities in that. I know from speaking to people back home and that family members and friends, um, it definitely does seem like yeah, community or yeah, community members and that speaking more to each other,
Yeah,
bartering, helping each other out, and maybe
yeah.
strengthening those bonds to hopefully one day push that localism
Well,
ideology.
I think it's going to happen now organically because of the infrastructural collapse that's occurring or going to occur because of this lockdown.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully there are some positives, and yeah,
There are there are positive. Definitely, it's going to force people to start creating their own economies.
yeah, and also France Korea coming out with his latest book and predictions and that.
Have you bought it?
No, I haven't bought it yet. Have you?
Yeah.
Um, but just from hearing what he's saying about it and that, it's going to be a very interesting time to see what happens in the next election and that as well, because of what
Mm.
this has done. Because I think there are going to be, yeah, if we just look at some of the stats, that South Africa could be near that 50% unemployment mark by the end of the year kind of thing. Um, there's going to be a lot more unhappy communities, and maybe this is like the straw that breaks the camel's back finally for the ANC. One can only hope.
Yeah, but I also suspect that he's going to have won a lot of support amongst Cara and Constantia.
Hopefully
You
not.
know,
No.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know those are the people I just want to punch.
I can
Genuinely.
I can just imagine you walking around just just punching people.
No, dude. Like, yes, like that's. I don't get it. I just don't get these psychopaths who go on social media saying that the president is so humble and he's just so human and he admits to making mistakes and we need to support him and all this and like what
Yeah.
the Okas just sent millions of people into poverty. He didn't have to, and then he allows a cooked food to be prohibited, and we had to flip and fight some sort of legal battle just to be able to buy stuff online. And now you want to like see him as some humble human. No, the oak gets no feedings from me, nothing.
Yeah, it's
He does. He's a billionaire who has no idea what's happening down the road in the townships.
yeah, definitely. And it's quite just sad to see people giving praise to a president for doing his duties and doing stuff that's presidential. Initially, when the lockdowns
Yeah.
went in, yeah, came into to act in that. Over here, Boris Johnson got heavy criticism for doing exactly or very similar things to say Cyril Ramaphosa, but Cyril Ramaphosa was getting praised by people.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Boris Johnson completely ballsed up. He should never have listened to Imperial College. But anyway, that's
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, but it's scary to see people giving so much praise to Cyril Ramaphosa and that for doing nothing really, not
And he
really.
can't even put on a mask. He doesn't write his speech, and he has literally one thing to do on TV.
Yeah. So it's not good when that happens. But yeah, hopefully there will be some more good that comes out of this lockdown
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
longer lasting. I know obviously now it's going to be difficult, obviously from an economical sense and that, but yeah, if this lockdown causes the ANC to lose severely come the next election, well then maybe it was worth it. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
I agree. I have a feeling that France might be on point, and I have no reason to to not trust France. He's very, very smart.
Yeah, he is. But yeah,
But
thanks.
also, you need to start making more videos now. We need the alternative media to rise up.
Yeah,
But decide on which channel you want to use, and then push it, and then we'll start plugging you as well.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate the chat.
Oh no, it was great fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's actually quite nice sometimes just chatting like this with no script.
yeah, I enjoy it.